Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Honourable Minister, for affording us the opportunity to come and see you on this, what really is a courtesy call. And it's for the benefit of introducing the new Director General of the Independent Broadcasting Authority. Just by way of background, we had quite a thorough interview process, and through that process, which was heavily contested, we came up with our eventual final candidate, who is Mr. Webster Mweetwa. Briefly, Minister, he has quite a depth of experience, both in journalism and also in the corporate sector, where he worked, spent a lot of his time with Absa Bank, and the transition from Barclays into Absa. And I think that is something that will work and serve well in relation to the work that is coming up at IBA that he'll be faced with, particularly in relation to moving the organization forward in terms of digitization and automation, as well as in cultural change and performance management. He has had experience as a journalist, and that experience came originally from the University of Zambia, where he studied mass comm with a major, I believe, in public administration. Mass comm, right. And then thereafter, his corporate side was through obtaining a Master of Business Administration at the School of African and Oriental Studies. So he's well equipped, and our hope is that he will be able to move IBA in the direction which we as a board all hope to see, to high heights, and allows us to really achieve the mandate of IBA, and also the aspirations of the Zambian people in general in relation to media and adhering to our tenets, which includes, Honourable Minister, the adherence by the media to codes of conduct, both by adhering to legislation, but also to our own codes at the IBA. And with that, Honourable Minister, I'd like to maybe welcome a few remarks from Mr. Mweetwa on his new appointment, which he started actually yesterday and seems to have hit the ground running. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honourable Minister, and for welcoming us warmly to your office. And Chair, thank you for your kind words. I'm in my day 2 in my role as IBA Director General. But I think I just wanted to say I'd like to thank first and foremost the board for placing confidence in my capabilities. But obviously the Ministry of Information and Media, the Minister, the PS, on whose behalf we deliver our regulatory mandate as IBA, and Honourable Minister, just to also pledge our commitment to work very closely with your ministry and your officials, as we deliver our mandate as a regulator for the broadcasting industry. And also, just to say that I come in at a very interesting time for the sector. Just looking at the number of cameras in front of me shows that the industry has really grown, and I think it is going to continue to thrive. We are going to work very closely with the broadcasting industry to make sure that we take advantage of the evolving technological advances, to make sure that how you produce and deliver content to your audiences is backed up by technology, but also how we support you from our end as a regulator is also a lot more up to speed in terms of digitization and innovation. So I think with that, Honourable Minister, I would just like to say I'm grateful personally for the opportunity to be introduced to you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Let me just yes, this correctly. Thank you so much, and may I begin by saying good afternoon, countrymen and women who are joining us on various platforms at this very important engagement. Let me begin by thanking the IBA board chairperson and your team for this occasion, for having fulfilled the mandate to give a full complement of the establishment of the IBA. This appointment has been long-standing, and we commend you for taking your time to ensure that you come up with the right candidate. And let me also take this opportunity to commend Mr. Webster Malido on this important appointment. As government, we would like to note that your appointment comes at a very, very critical time in the life of our country. Because whereas the mandate of IBA is ongoing, we are in a year advent to very important general elections next year. And with that in mind, as government, we have witnessed a growing, worrying trend of acts of unprofessional conduct by some media houses and or media practitioners. We have seen increasingly a reckless behavior by some media platforms, allowing discussions which they well know in advance that they are an affront to the law. I'd like to indicate that President Hakainde Hichilema remains resolutely committed to ensuring and guaranteeing continuing expansion and enjoyment of media freedoms in our country. And he has pledged that he would not like to, under his administration and see media houses get closed. And the organization that closes media houses is actually the IBA, to which you are now the Director General. That commitment from the President notwithstanding, in our view, seems to be abused by some who have taken the tolerance of this administration for granted. I would like to indicate that as government, we are not changing course. We are maintaining course to ensure that no media house should be closed under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, because that's his pledge. But for that to become reality, we require to play according to the rules of engagement. That is to say, according to law. So, as you take up this new role, we expect that you will execute the mandate of your institution within the framework of the law. And for us who hold political office, we shall not interfere with the way you go about to carry out the mandate bestowed by law on IBA, just like we have done in the last 4 years of New Dawn administration. We shall stay clear of your operations. And in so doing, we do expect that IBA will not need to be reminded by ourselves or by any citizen that they have a duty mandate to execute on behalf of the people of Zambia. We have seen lately some media houses, some TV station or stations providing a platform to potentially hate speech discussions in clear violation of the law, or in an attempt, in my view, to test the waters. I think that for us in government, on the political leadership side of things, we have no capacity to respond to that kind of broadcasting. It is a mandate of IBA. And now that we have Director General in place, that is to say we have a full complement of the establishment, we expect that there will be full adherence to rules and regulations that relate to broadcasting conditionalities in this country as by law established. I therefore want to take this opportunity one more time to appeal to media owners and also appeal to media practitioners that the media space we occupy will define the shape of our democracy. Our democracy can only be as good as mirrored by the state of our media. President HH shall continue to ensure that your media freedoms are guaranteed. In so doing, we expect professional conduct. I would like to see, as Minister for Information, a continuation of the programs I have seen before, where IBA goes out there to meet various stakeholders, particularly media-related stakeholders, to educate them about the rules and regulations as contained in the IBA Act of 2002. And I must let you colleagues, the media, and through you, the nation, know that government is in the process of amending the IBA Act to bring it in line with contemporary and current dictates and demands, in line with the prevailing technological advancements that have occupied the media space, which require that regulatory rules and regulations should be in tandem with the same. To that effect, progress, remarkable progress, has been made in the process of bringing about those amendments to the IBA Act. And I can state here that both the IBA and the ZNBC Act have passed through the Cabinet Legislative Committee stages en route to Cabinet approval for presentation before the National Assembly for amendment of those two pieces of law. The ZNBC Act is primarily being amended to transform ZNBC into a public broadcaster, keeping an eye on the need for ZNBC to be financially viable and sustainable, so that ZNBC as a public broadcaster can provide the services to the nation that meet the expectations of our citizens. We have received various submissions from stakeholders, and I would like to urge here that when these two pieces of legislation come to Parliament, we do expect that those who may have views that they feel should be part of the amendments should come through. I should clarify here that the amendment of the IBA Act is not in any way intended to stifle our citizens' rights to speech and or expression. The amendments in that regard are meant to enhance the citizens' rights and ensure that we sanitize the broadcasting space and enable those entities who are currently involved in broadcasting, who may wish to get licensed, like the mobile entities we have that have applied to IBA to be licensed in terms of their broadcasting. But presently, IBA has no such authority. It is those horizons that the IBA and others that are intended to be brought on board. So earlier assertions from some quarters that the amendment of the IBA Act was to target those who are doing podcasts, broadcasts, and so on, are not part of the intention of the proposed amendments. They are non-controversial. They are progressive. So, we wish you well, Mr. Malido, in your new appointment. As a ministry, we cannot doubt your abilities, given your rich CV, your credentials, and your experience in the industry. I'm sure that for many in this sector, our sector, the media sector, they are happy to have you as Director General for the IBA, because you are one of them. You come from behind the camera or from behind the pen that has informed the stories and news of this country in the past, where you served, I think, at the then Post newspaper. So for those who were already in the industry, the board of IBA has just appointed one of you now to lead the IBA. we do expect a cordial relationship with the media, and that we work according to law and according to the expectations of the people of Zambia. Elections that are coming next year will be very crucial. Crucial in the sense that every election in any country is a potentially hazardous moment, because it creates a platform for diversity of activities and views to be heard, some of which may be inimical to national building, national interest, maintenance and sustenance of national peace and national unity. It is your obligation as IBA, therefore, play your role to ensure that the nation continues to hold together, because the media, which I am very so happy to work with, can be very useful and at the same time very dangerous if not handled or utilized properly. The media is like a double-edged sword. Depends which side is being put to utility. We want the better side of the media to shape the elections for 2026, thereby providing a firm foundation for free and fair, credible elections devoid of unnecessary suspicions, devoid of unnecessary divisions in the country, capable of being funded by a reckless media. Thank you so much for coming. Now, let me take this opportunity to update the nation on a few issues here. And my dear colleagues from the media, I'll just pick up a few issues to do with cabinet resolutions of the cabinet meeting which was held yesterday, the 17th cabinet meeting held yesterday, Monday, 15th September 2025. That the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, called for the 17th cabinet meeting in the year 2025 on Monday, 15th September 2025 at State House to deliberate on developmental issues aimed at improving the general standards of living for our people. Cabinet approved the following. 1. Year 2026 estimates of revenue and expenditure. Cabinet approved the year 2026 estimates of revenue and expenditure. This follows the approval by Cabinet at its 13th meeting held on 11th July 2025 of government's policy objectives and strategies for the 2026-2028 medium-term budget plan, which facilitated the timely formulation of the 2026 annual budget in line with the constitutional requirement and the National Planning and Budgeting Act number 1 of 2020. The 2026 national budget has been prepared after wide consultations. The Minister of Finance and National Planning is expected to present the detailed 2026 national budget in the National Assembly of Zambia on Friday, 26th September 2025. The 2026 national budget will be forward-looking and pro-growth budgets meant to consolidate the socio-economic gains thus far in the 4 years of the New Dawn administration led by President Hakainde Hichilema that have been attained. Two, legislation issues. The Animal Health Registration of Laboratories Regulations 2025. Cabinet approved the issuance of the Animal Health Registration of Laboratories Regulations 2025 in order to establish a comprehensive legal framework that enables private laboratories to participate in key veterinary and public health services. Section 30 of the Animal Health Act number 27 of 2010 empowers the minister responsible for animal health to approve laboratories meant for the purposes of testing of animal feed, vaccine, veterinary products, animal products, and animal byproducts, disease diagnosis, food safety and assurance, and any other activity considered necessary under this Act. The regulations will ensure that private veterinary laboratories comply with standards set under the Animal Health Act and hereby promote high-quality, reliable diagnostic services and safeguarding the integrity of veterinary results. By upholding rigorous standards, Zambia positions itself to gain international credibility, fostering global partnerships, and unlocking opportunities in trade and technical cooperation. This particular decision, Cabinet, has been taken to reinforce government policy and position of promoting the growth of the livestock sector in our country, particularly as pronounced by the President, the establishment of beef zones in our country to position the country to be a net exporter of beef to the rest of the continent and beyond. 3. The Electronic Communications and Transactions Amendment Bill 2025. Cabinet also approved in principle to the introduction of a bill in Parliament to amend the Electronic Communications and Transactions Act number 4 of 2021 in order to resolve conflicts with the Cyber Security Act number of 2025 and expand public key infrastructure regulations for secure digital transactions. The Electronic Communications and Transactions Act provides for a legal framework for electronic communications and transactions, facilitating the growth of e-commerce, digital payments, and online services. The Act aims to promote a secure and trustworthy online environment, protecting consumers and businesses alike. However, the implementation of the Electronic Communications and Transactions Act has faced challenges, particularly as the licensing process is tied to critical information infrastructure. The enactment of the legislation will enhance secure, efficient, and reliable electronic transactions. Further, the legislation will contribute to economic development across various sectors affecting business and consumers. I think that there are many, my colleagues from the media, you will sample, who have made copies for you to sample what to share with the public. Let me also take this opportunity now to say that as we observed World Democracy Day yesterday, Zambia's democracy is stable, guaranteeing people's human rights and fundamental freedoms. Zambia's democratic space continues to expand under the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema through the observance of the rule of law to ensure that the law remains supreme and that all of us as citizens are equal before the law. The stability of our growing democracy has thus, in the last 4 years, seen little or no conflict between law enforcers and the media, and or between law enforcers and political participants. In the last 4 years, the country has not witnessed police discharge tear gas to a political gathering. The last 4 years, the country has not witnessed police unleash live ammunition to any political gathering or any political play. The last 4 years has not seen any political detainee arising out of their participation on the political arena. The last 4 years has seen traction gained, or the fight against corruption gain momentum or traction, where convictions of those who violated the law are being witnessed, whereas some have termed them to be persecution. Legal prosecution is not the same as political persecution. Under the new Dawn administration, all those who have been brought before the courts of law have been deemed to have violated the law and convicted and or acquitted as the law has operated. In a democracy as ours, people's free participation in the governance of their country is a central pillar anchoring the growth of our democracy in order to foster accountability and transparency to attain an open government. In a democracy as ours, a fair trial in the courts of law by an impartial judiciary guarantees the protection of citizens' rights. This is what is obtaining in this country, and therefore calls or assertions by some sections of our society that Zambia's democratic space is shrinking cannot be substantiatable by any visible evidence whatsoever. In fact, such claims, to a certain extent, are in fact the very example of evidence of a widening democratic space, because citizens now are free to speak and express themselves without fear of any political or police reprisals. Only those who are abusing their freedoms, such as those shooting videos, insulting others, including insulting the head of state, like that young lady who was enjoying the comfort of insulting the president in America, and upon arrival at the airport was received by the law. Such is the state of our democracy. There can be no democracy without rule of law, because it is the law that promotes, upholds, and defends rights of people. So where once rights end and others begin, let us enjoy these rights responsibly as we commemorate yesterday's World Democracy Day. I think that as Zambians, we are happy with what is happening in terms of freedoms. The only issue, which is the elephant in the room in this country presently, is load shedding. It's the energy crisis, which is a regional crisis. And I would like to let the nation know that a number of countries in the region are facing similar load shedding hours just like ourselves. The importation and exportation of power within countries belonging to the Southern African power pool is as a result of a protocol that allows this trade to go on even in the midst of deficit. And as government, we have intensified, by the direction of President HH, investment into the construction of the Zambia-Tanzania power interconnector to ensure that we link our grid to the Eastern Power Corridor, wherein in the last few years there have been reasonably, consecutively good rains, and that with a power connector we are able now to tap into that potential. Otherwise, regarding the energy crisis in the country, like the President addressed Parliament on Friday, your government is aware of the challenges that are pertaining out there in society. But I'm sure that you have seen some changes in the last few days in terms of hours of power being made available, particularly in high density locations of our country, or in compounds where we have more people. I'm sure you have seen that there are more hours now of power there. It is not an accident. It is part of the measures that government is putting in place to mitigate the sufferings and challenges our people are faced with, and also in line with government's call to our citizens, those in high-cost areas, to come on board in terms of alternative power sources. So, to respond to this issue of energy in our country, government will, this Thursday, 18th September 2025, be giving a status report on the energy situation in the country, the measures government has put in place, and what you expect to see from now going forward. I think this is where we end for today in terms of what we have prepared, and look forward to Thursday.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I think we're not going to have a question and answer session because
If they do have, they can ask.
Okay, we can take maybe 3 because the minister has to go to Parliament and you have to do your lunch hour news. So let's be brief in our questions. So, yes, sir.
Yes,
Introduce yourself, your name, the media house, and then you ask your question.
I'm Comrade Derek Sinjera from Kulanzi newspaper, and I'm asking one question. I don't know, Minister, it's only about 8 months now before the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly rises to facilitate for elections, like you alluded to. And stakeholders, health pro-activists are wondering, will the tobacco control bill be tabled, or again, government will emulate the PF Patriotic Front leadership which failed to enact this piece of legislation? Tobacco control bill.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other question? I see none. I'll give you the answer on Thursday so that I don't mislead the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.